When I found the box hidden in the attic, I thought it was just old junk. Then I saw the letter, my name, written in his handwriting. Everything I thought I knew about my childhood snapped in half in that moment. I can't unsee it. And now I can't pretend anymore.
Welcome to Reddit Toxic Family Telltales channel. New episode every day.
I was in the middle of the SATs when a folded piece of paper slid across my desk. Monica Lombardi's neat handwriting stared back at me. I think I'm having a miscarriage. For a second, my brain just stopped. I leaned toward her and whispered without thinking, "You don't even look pregnant." She didn't answer. She just pressed a finger to her lips, her face pale and slick with sweat. Her pencil hovered over the answer sheet, but she wasn't writing a thing. We were in the gym, 200 students. The only sounds were scratchy pencils and the occasional cough. Mr. Collins was pacing between the rows like a metronome. Every 2 minutes, on the dot, he'd pass by. I looked at Monica again. She wasn't okay. She was gripping the edge of her desk like she was trying to stay upright. I scribbled 2 words on my booklet. Hospital now. She shook her head hard, then wrote back, "I can't leave. I need the scholarship. No one can know." That's when I saw it. A dark stain on her jeans, spreading fast. She caught my eyes and tried to tug her sweater down to hide it. The girl behind us, Melissa, noticed too. Her hand started going up to get the proctor's attention. Panicked, I knocked my calculator off the desk so hard it smacked the floor. Everyone jumped. Collins glanced over. "Sorry," I mouthed, bending down. While I was down there, Monica quickly tied her sweater around her waist. Then came the voice on the intercom. 20 minutes remaining. Monica's breathing changed, short, shallow, desperate. The same sound I'd heard when my sister went into labor. She scribbled again. "Help me. Hurts." Mr. Collins was getting closer. 2 rows. 1 row. She let out the tiniest whimper, then covered it with a cough. "Everything all right?" he asked. His eyes locked on her. "Not me." "Yes, sir," Monica said quickly. "Just cramps." Something in his face shifted. He stepped in closer, like he didn't quite believe her. "You sure? You can go to the nurse." "I'm fine," she snapped. Sharp, not like her. He hesitated, then walked on. But he kept glancing back. That's when she grabbed my wrist under the desk. Her skin was freezing. Her palm was slick with sweat. "Too much blood," she scrawled. "I can't do this. He can't know. Please." I didn't understand what she meant, but I didn't have time to figure it out. I pushed back my chair and clutched my chest. "I can't breathe," I gasped, loud enough for the whole gym to hear. "Heart attack," someone shouted, and everything broke. Chairs scraped. Students screamed. Proctors rushed forward. Someone called 911. I grabbed Monica's arm and pulled her up. "You can't leave together," Mrs. Banks yelled. "She's helping me," I managed between fake gasps. "Let them go." Mr. Collins' voice cut through the chaos. It was loud, panicked. Everyone stared at him. Monica stumbled beside me toward the doors. In the hallway, she leaned against the wall, whispering, "Nobody knows I was pregnant. Nobody. My parents think I've never even dated." There was so much blood now. Her sweater wasn't hiding anything. "Oh my God," I breathed. "For months," she rasped. "I'm 4 months. I hid it. Baggy clothes. Said it was stress weight. Since my birthday. Since I turned 18. The doors burst open and paramedics rushed in. They didn't even look at me. Just Monica. "Possible miscarriage," one said. "Looks around 16 weeks. Heavy bleeding." "My parents," Monica cried. "They can't know. They'll kill me." "How old are you?" one asked. 18, she whispered. "Then we don't have to call them right away." Her body went limp with relief for half a second. Then her eyes went wide. Mr. Collins had followed us out. His face was bone white. His hands were shaking. Monica's voice sliced through the hallway. "Get him away from me." The paramedics froze. "Miss, we just need." I said, "Get him away." Mrs. Banks rushed over. "Robert, why aren't you with your section?" Mr. Collins, 28, track coach, everyone's favorite teacher. "Will she be okay?" he choked out. "You family?" a paramedic asked. "I'm her," he stopped. "I'm her teacher." Monica turned her head slowly. The fury in her eyes made me take a step back. "Tell them," she spat. "Tell them the truth." "Monica," he whispered. "Tell them how you waited. How you counted down to my 18th birthday. How you said we could finally be together." The paramedics pushed her gurney toward the ambulance as she kept going, louder and louder. "Tell them about the birthday present. The hotel room. How you said it was legal now. How you'd been waiting for 2 years." Mrs. Banks dropped her clipboard, clattered against the tile. The ambulance doors slammed shut. Lights flashed red against the brick walls. Mr. Collins stood frozen on the sidewalk. Inside, someone wrapped a blanket around my shoulders in the nurse's office. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I could still see his face when Monica screamed at him, his mouth opening and closing like he couldn't breathe. I curled up in the chair, knees to my chest. Everything around me felt too bright, too loud. The nurse's voice came from far away, something about shock. I slipped my hand into my pocket and felt it. The note. "I think I'm having a miscarriage." It wasn't just a note anymore. It was evidence. I folded it carefully and shoved it back in my pocket. Even though my heart was pounding too hard to sit still. The door opened. Mrs. Banks stepped in. Mr. Collins hovered in the doorway like a ghost, one hand gripping the frame. His face was gray. His hands were shaking worse than mine. Mrs. Banks asked what happened in the gym. I told her the version with a fake heart attack and Monica needing help. That was all. Collins cleared his throat again and again, but no words came out. Mrs. Banks turned on him. Robert. He just shook his head. I need to check on my students. No one leaves, she said flatly. Then the nurse's phone rang. 3 quiet okays. Her face went pale. She turned to us and said, they're working on Monica. Condition guarded. I thought about the stain on her jeans, the way she tried to cover it. Then Principal Lombardi burst through the door. Monica's dad. For a second, I'd forgotten. He was trying to keep it together, to be the principal and not the terrified father. He asked if I was the one who helped. I nodded. Thank you, he said, and his voice cracked. Mrs. Banks explained the situation, the heart attack distraction, the ambulance, the disruption. He just stood there clenching his fists. Then he walked out. No expression. Just gone. Moments later, chaos erupted in the halls. Mrs. Banks called the main office and said the words that made every student in the gym lose it. Void the entire SAT section. I could hear the yelling from down the hall. Someone was crying. Someone else was swearing. I just cost 200 kids their scores. The blanket felt heavier. That's when the school counselor, Paige Mason, came in. She sat beside me, gentle, patient. Asked if my heart attack had been real. I told her the truth. She didn't look angry, just tired, sad. Like this wasn't the first time she'd seen something like this. She told me what I did was brave. That helping someone in crisis matters, even when it costs you something. Then came the detective. Badge, gloves, steady voice. He asked if Monica had given me anything. I handed him the note. He slid it into a plastic bag like it was fragile. Then came the questions. What time? Where was Collins? How much blood? What did she say? I answered everything. My head buzzed like static. Then another woman walked in, Rhea Morris. Title IX coordinator. She explained what she did. Handled harassment, assault, misconduct. She told me Monica was legally an adult, but there were still protocols. Investigations. Consequences. She asked if anyone had threatened me. I said no. She said to call her if that changed. Her voice was steady, professional, heavy. She left her card next to the detective's. I stared at both pieces of paper, realizing this wasn't over. 3 hours ago, I was worried about filling in bubbles and getting into college. Now, I was holding evidence in a criminal investigation. And this was just the beginning. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed staring at my phone, thumbs hovering over the keyboard, backspacing more than I typed. Are you okay? No, obviously not. I'm sorry. For what exactly? Hope you're feeling better. Better? After a miscarriage? That word felt wrong. 5 deleted drafts later, I finally sent something short. Hope you're doing better. The message showed, delivered, then read, and then nothing. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned, put the phone down, picked it back up, stared some more. Still nothing. She was in a hospital facing something I couldn't even begin to imagine. And I was just sitting there in my room, waiting for a reply that wasn't coming. On my desk sat 3 small reminders that this wasn't going away. Detective Abbott's card. Paige Mason's note. Rhea Morris's contact. 3 flimsy pieces of paper that basically said, my life just got complicated. I turned off my phone, lay flat on my back in the dark. The ceiling stared back. There was this water stain in the corner shaped like Florida. I counted the little bumps in the texture, lost track, started again. Anything to keep my brain quiet. Then my phone buzzed. 3 a.m. I squinted at the screen. An email. Subject, Student Accommodation Plan. From Rhea Morris. She'd emailed all of Monica's teachers and CC'd me for some reason. The message said Monica would be returning to school soon and would receive medical accommodations, extensions on assignments, flexible attendance, the option to leave class when needed, campus escorts, counseling support through Paige. It was carefully worded, professional, no details, but seeing it laid out like that, it hit me. This wasn't just a thing that happened. This was official now. On paper. A case. I shut my eyes. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I got to school early, sat in my car and opened the student portal. There it was. A reply from Monica. Thanks for getting me out. I'm physically stable now. Don't need you to rescue me, though. Just be honest if they ask questions. I read it over and over. Her tone was careful, measured, like every word was chosen on purpose. Was she mad at me? Grateful? Drawing a line? Probably all of the above. I typed a few things back, deleted them. Finally, I just wrote, okay, sent it. She didn't need a hero. She needed me to respect what she asked for. My phone rang during second period. Detective Samuel Abbott. I stepped into the hallway to take it. His voice was calm but heavy. He said there was a chance I might get subpoenaed. Subpoenaed. He explained what that meant. If this case went to court, I'd have to testify under oath, judge, jury, everything. He told me to keep everything, Messages, emails, the note, any scrap connected to this. When he hung up, I just stood there staring at the wall, feeling the weight of that one word. Subpoenaed. That afternoon, Belinda texted me a link to a local news article by Sloan Rivera. Headline: Allegations of inappropriate conduct under investigation at local high school. No names, no school, but everyone would know. The article was vague. Incident during standardized testing. Student taken to hospital. Investigation underway. I made the mistake of scrolling to the comments. Hundreds of them. People speculating, pointing fingers, picking sides. Some said the girl must be lying for attention. Others said they always suspected the teacher. One person screamed about false accusations ruining men's lives. Another said girls cry wolf too much. Someone else shouted back about teachers being predators. They turned Monica's trauma into a debate. I closed the browser. My stomach twisted. The next day, Collins's union released a statement. Official letterhead. Legalese. They expressed support for their member. Due process. Allegations are not facts. His attorney gave Sloan another quote. He claimed that any relationship between Collins and the student was consensual between two adults. I wanted to throw up. She had just turned 18 in January. He'd been her teacher since she was 16. He'd waited, counted down, groomed her. But now he had the legal shield. Consensual. I threw my phone onto my bed and started pacing, heat burning behind my ribs. The following morning, Principal Lombardi called a school-wide assembly. The entire auditorium buzzed like a hive. He stood at the podium, looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. His voice was calm, professional, too calm. He talked about respecting privacy, not spreading rumors, trusting the proper channels. But I saw it. His knuckles were white on the podium. His eyes scanned the crowd, but they didn't really see. This wasn't just the principal speaking. This was Monica's dad. I couldn't stop wondering. Had he known anything before the SAT? Were there signs he missed? Signs he ignored? He dismissed us to class, and the whispers filled the hall like smoke. That night, Monica sat alone in her room, scrolling through 2 years of messages. She didn't want to, but Ria had asked her to find anything relevant. 2 years ago, sophomore year, she was 16. He was her coach. The early messages were innocent. Great job at practice. Then warmer, I'm proud of you. Then personal, you're special. I see something in you others don't. And then, the message from her 16th birthday. 364 days until you're 18, red heart. Monica stared at it, bile rising in her throat. Then anger. Real hard anger. She took screenshots, one after another. The grooming, the countdown, the proof. She emailed the folder to herself and to Ria. The next day, she sat in Ria's office as gloves snapped and forms were signed. Chain of custody, evidence. Ria walked her through everything, every step, every right, every permission. Monica's hand shook as she signed. This was real now, official, permanent. 3 days later, I was in math class when the teacher mentioned SAT retake dates. Something inside me cracked. The room spun. My hands went numb. I stood up too fast. My book hit the floor. Everyone stared. Paige Mason was called. I ended up sitting against the lockers in the hallway, struggling to breathe while she knelt beside me, guiding me through slow, controlled breaths. In through the nose. Count to 4. Hold. Out through the mouth. 6 seconds. It took time, but my breathing finally matched hers. She explained that panic attacks are trauma responses. My body wasn't broken. It was protecting me. She gave me a card with the breathing steps. Told me to practice even when I wasn't panicking. I nodded, embarrassed, grateful. An email went out that afternoon. SAT retake scheduled for 6 weeks from now. Same gym, different proctors. My deadlines were coming fast. And even when I wasn't actively panicking, the weight of it sat on my chest like a brick. 2 days later, Detective Abbott called again. They were testing Monica's note, fingerprints, ink, anything else on the paper. I needed to sign another statement confirming that I got the note from Monica and no one else touched it. I went to the station after school. Signed 3 forms that said the same thing in slightly different legal language. He filed them away in a growing folder. That little folded note, the one she slid across the desk during the SAT, was now part of a criminal case. Meanwhile, Monica was in her father's study while he was at a board meeting. She opened a file marked taxes and flipped through credit card statements. January. Her birthday. There it was. Hillside Hotel, $247. The exact night Collins had said it would be special. She took photos, clear ones, attached them to an email to Ria. Subject: evidence. And then she hit send before she could change her mind. Sunday afternoon, I was just trying to grab cereal for dinner. I rounded the corner into the aisle and froze. 3 feet away, standing under the fluorescent lights like nothing had happened, was Collins. His hand rested on a cart handle, eyes fixed on the back of a cereal box like he was really reading it. My stomach dropped. Then he looked up. Our eyes met. His face went tight, like every muscle pulled inward. We didn't move. We didn't say a word. Then an older woman turned the corner behind me, glanced at Collins, really looked at him, and her jaw dropped. She pointed right at him and said loud enough for the entire aisle to hear, "Is that him? Is that the teacher from the news? The one who got that girl pregnant?" Her voice echoed. Heads turned. Carts stopped. People stared. Colin's jaw clenched hard. His hands turned white on the cart handle. The woman didn't stop. She asked again, louder, "What kind of person does that?" He let go of the cart. Just left it there in the middle of the aisle. Then he walked out fast, straight through the automatic doors. The woman kept calling after him. People whispered. I stood there frozen, my heart pounding, cereal completely forgotten. Monday morning, I checked my phone before class. A message from Monica. Miscarriage confirmed. Complete. No complications. Just clinical words. Cold. But beneath them, I could feel what she wasn't saying. Grief doesn't fit in sentences like that. I typed and deleted a dozen things before finally sending. I'm sorry. And I meant it for all of it. Tuesday night, the school hosted a parent forum. Safety and oversight, the email said. I didn't want to go, but Belinda told me I should. People need to see you're not hiding. The auditorium was packed. Parents filled every seat, some standing against the walls. The air buzzed with anger, fear, and accusations. Up front, the acting principal tried to talk about policy and procedure. He didn't get far. A woman stood up, said her daughter had complained about Collins being too friendly 2 years ago, said the school brushed it off. The room exploded, everyone shouting at once. Belinda squeezed my hand under the chair. We sat there, listening, realizing this wasn't just Monica. This had roots that went way deeper. Wednesday morning, Ria sent out an official notice. Collins was banned from all school property. No contact with students. Indefinite measures. It was supposed to make us feel safer. Instead, the track team started wearing their jackets every day like a uniform. They walked the halls in packs, glaring at anyone who sided with Monica. The school split in two. Team Monica, Team Collins, and people who just wanted it all to disappear. Thursday, Ria met with me again. She asked how I was holding up, whether anyone had harassed me, if I felt safe. Then she told me something carefully, like testing the ground first. Another former student had come forward. She couldn't share details, but the message was clear. Monica wasn't the first. She was just the first one no one could ignore. The one who miscarried in front of 200 witnesses. I walked out of her office sick to my stomach. How long had this been happening? Friday, Detective Abbott called. A warrant had been approved. They were seizing Collins' electronic devices. Computer, phone, tablet. Forensics would make digital copies and dig through everything. Messages, photos, patterns. He sounded tired but determined. It'll take time, he said. But if there's anything there, we'll find it. I pictured Collins' secrets sitting on some lab table, piece by piece, stripped open. The district appointed a new acting principal that same week. Principal Lombardi couldn't oversee an investigation involving his own daughter. That night, Monica messaged me. She said her house was silent. Her parents weren't speaking to each other. Or to her. Meals in separate rooms. Doors closed. Her mom crying alone. She said it felt like her family was crumbling in slow motion. Saturday afternoon, another message came from Monica. Be a witness, not a savior. I need people who will tell the truth, not people who think they're rescuing me. I read it twice. Then again. She didn't need a hero. She needed the truth. I typed one word back. Okay. And I meant it completely. 3 weeks later, SAT retake. Different gym. Different proctors. I sat there gripping my pencil so tight my hand ached. The questions swam together, numbers blurring into meaningless shapes. When time was called, I had no memory of what I'd even answered. The only thing I remembered was the empty chair where Monica should have been. Monday morning, my phone blew up. Dozens of messages from strangers. #StandWithCoach was trending locally. They called me a liar, a snitch, said I ruined a good man's life. Some messages were cruel. Others were worse, threats. I showed Belinda. She helped me screenshot everything, blocked the accounts, told me to stay off social media. I tried. I really did. But my thumb kept opening the apps anyway. That same week, Abbott called again. Police had pulled hotel security footage from Monica's 18th birthday. The stills were crystal clear. Collins entering at 7:42 p.m. Monica at 7:46. Both of them in the elevator together a minute later. Deliberately separate arrivals. But the camera caught the truth. Monica met with the prosecutor a few days later. She told me afterward her hands shook the whole time. They explained the educator-student statute. How his authority over her as a teacher meant this wasn't just consensual. She was leaning toward pressing charges. She knew what it would cost her. And she was ready anyway. 2 days later, Collins broke the no-contact order. Texted her from a burner phone. Please don't do this. We can fix this together. Monica forwarded it straight to Abbott. They traced the burner back to a convenience store near his apartment. Security footage showed Collins buying it. Abbott moved fast, paperwork for additional charges. At the protective order hearing the next week, I sat in the back of the courtroom. Monica walked to the stand, simple dress, hands folded. She told the judge she didn't feel safe. Explained the burner phone. Her voice didn't waver. Collins sat beside his lawyer, smaller than I'd ever seen him. The judge didn't hesitate. Order granted. Legal. Enforceable. As Monica walked out, she lifted her eyes and gave me the smallest nod. Not because I saved her, because I witnessed the truth. Spring break was supposed to feel like a break. Didn't. The preliminary Title IX findings came through in my inbox like a punch to the gut. Ria sent the summary to everyone involved in the investigation. 3 separate complaints. 3 different girls. All about Collins. Each time, it had been brushed off. Personality differences. Misunderstandings. He's just being friendly. The report spelled it out in blunt, clinical language. Staff had no training to spot grooming behavior. There were no clear protocols for handling boundary violations. Multiple red flags had been ignored. All of it was sitting right there in black and white. The system had failed. Not just Monica, but every girl who tried to speak up before her. The next week, I sat in Paige's office and showed her my phone. All the screenshots Belinda helped me save. The threats. The slurs. The accounts that kept popping back up even after I blocked them. Paige documented everything carefully, asking whether I felt safe, whether anyone had tried approaching me in person. She adjusted my safety plan. New routes between classes, permission to leave unsafe situations, a direct line to call for help. It made me feel protected and trapped at the same time. Protected because someone was finally taking this seriously. Trapped because I needed protection just to make it through a normal school day. That Friday, Sloan Rivera published a new article. Second accuser comes forward in investigation of local teacher. She didn't name anyone, but she didn't have to. Everyone knew who it was about. The shift was subtle at first. Some of Collins's loudest defenders just went quiet. A few track team members stopped wearing their jackets. Others clung to them like armor. The hallway started feeling like a war zone without the shouting. 2 sides, drawn lines, and everyone watching everyone else. Monica sat on her bed that week with a blank journal on her lap. She picked up a pen and started writing. About the miscarriage. About the way people only asked if she was okay physically, never about the actual loss. About how she mourned a baby she hadn't even wanted. Her handwriting shook halfway down the second page. And then she wrote something she didn't expect. She was going to testify anyway. Not despite the loss, because of it. Because Collins had taken more than anyone realized. Because she was done letting him control her story. When she closed that journal, something shifted in her chest. Not peace, but strength. 2 days later, the prosecutor's office called me. They needed me to testify before the grand jury. I wore the nicest clothes I owned and tried not to throw up in the courthouse bathroom. 23 people in that room. Every eye locked on me. The prosecutor asked about the note. The blood. Collins' face when Monica was taken out on the gurney. I told them everything. How pale he went. How he yelled for us to leave. How desperate he sounded. My voice shook, but it didn't break. They showed me the note, now sealed in a clear evidence bag. I confirmed it was hers. Described the shaky handwriting, the sweat on the paper. When I walked out, my hands were shaking, but my spine felt straight. This was exactly what Monica had asked of me. Tell the truth. Don't make it about me. 3 days later, the news broke. Collins had been indicted. Police arrested him at his apartment Friday morning. Footage aired on local news. Collins in handcuffs, walking toward a squad car. Bail set at $50,000. GPS ankle monitor. No contact with minors. 500-foot exclusion zone around the school. Monica texted me one word. Finally. Collins resigned the following Monday. The union made sure it was a quiet exit. No admission of guilt. Just generic language about pursuing other opportunities. His license was suspended. He couldn't teach anywhere until the case was done. 3 weeks later, Monica broke down in Paige's office. I found her hunched over in the chair, gasping for air, phone on the floor. On the screen were comments calling her a liar, an attention seeker, saying Collins' life was ruined by some girl. Paige waved me in without a word. I sat next to Monica and started the breathing exercises she'd once taught me. In for 4. Hold for 4. Out for 4. Took a while, but eventually her breathing matched mine. Her eyes were red, but steady. She squeezed my hand once. That was enough. A week later, the prosecutor offered Collins a plea deal. Monica told me about it in the parking lot, staring at the steering wheel like it might have answers. Plea meant no trial, no cross-examination, no defense attorney trying to twist the story. But it also meant no maximum sentence. She was torn. Part of her wanted to face him in court. Part of her just wanted it to end. I told her the only thing that mattered, whatever she decided was right. That night, Monica finally sat her parents down and told them everything. About the grooming, the pregnancy, the miscarriage, the plea. Her mom cried. Her dad stood up and walked out of the room without saying a word. Monica waited for someone to come back. No one did. She accepted the plea deal 2 days later. Collins agreed to permanently surrender his teaching license, register as a sex offender, serve 5 years of probation, and stay away from Monica forever. Not a perfect outcome, but real consequences. 3 weeks later, the plea hearing packed the courtroom. Collins's supporters on the left, Monica's on the right. He stood there in a suit and quietly pled guilty. The judge accepted the deal. No more hiding behind legal language. When it was over, Monica walked out straight-backed. Not broken, not saved, just standing. The final Title IX report dropped the next week. 20 pages detailing how the school failed. 3 previous complaints ignored. No grooming training. No boundary protocols. This time, the district promised mandatory training, new oversight, real reporting channels. It wouldn't erase what happened to Monica, but it might keep it from happening to someone else. And that mattered. Her pain wasn't just a tragedy anymore. It was a turning point. 3 weeks after the plea hearing, my SAT results landed in my inbox. I opened the email in the middle of lunch, sandwich in hand, and stared at the numbers on the screen. They weren't awful, but they weren't what I'd aimed for since sophomore year. The goals I'd built so carefully, the ones that used to feel solid, had shifted underneath me. It wasn't disappointment, not really. Just the quiet weight of knowing my timeline had changed in ways I couldn't control. That weekend, I sat at the kitchen table surrounded by a messy pile of college brochures and my laptop. I crossed out the reach schools that needed perfect scores and circled safer options. I rewrote my personal statement 3 different times, deleting every line that made it sound like the last year hadn't happened. By Sunday night, I had a new list, a new essay, a new plan, not the one I'd imagined, but mine. 2 days later, Monica walked into a scholarship committee meeting for people on the other side of the table with folders that had her name on them. They asked about her grades dropping senior year. She could have lied, could have kept it vague, but she didn't. She told them the truth. About the relationship, about the miscarriage, about the legal mess and the therapy and learning how to function again. They wrote notes without meeting her eyes. And when she left, she felt something cost her. A piece of herself she decided to give on purpose. But her hands didn't shake when she walked out of that room. She told her story her way. The following week, Sloane's new article hit the local paper. This time, the headline didn't feed the scandal. It focused on institutional failures and how to stop this from happening again. She quoted experts on grooming and power dynamics. Near the end, there was an anonymous quote from a student witness. I recognized my words, cleaned up and printed in black and white. Felt strange seeing my thoughts out there, but I liked the shift. The conversation was finally turning from gossip to accountability. That Thursday, Monica and I met at a diner just off campus. We ordered fries and milkshakes, talked about a reality show we both hate-watched. She complained about a bad elimination. I swore the judging was rigged. We even argued over which college had the better engineering program. It was normal, like the kind of conversation we'd never had before because everything between us had always been heavy. As we walked to our cars afterward, it hit me. This was progress. Not the loud, cinematic kind. The quiet kind that lets you breathe again. The next week, Paige called me into her office to workshop my college essay. I'd been stuck trying to write about the SAT day without sounding like some kind of hero. She read my draft, pointed out the parts where I was over-explaining or downplaying. For an hour, we tore it apart together. I rewrote it to be honest. About how doing the right thing is messy, how helping someone isn't about fixing their life, and how respecting someone's choices matters even when you want to save them. When we finished, it wasn't perfect. But it was true. Monica got her scholarship email on a Monday morning. Partial award. Not the full ride she'd dreamed about. The terms meant commuting, staying near her parents, her dad who still wouldn't talk to her, her mom who cried but never apologized. Staying in the same town where everyone knew. It wasn't the escape she'd wanted, but it was forward motion, tuition help, a chance. She hit accept before she could second-guess herself. Word spread fast. Collins had packed up and moved out of town. Someone's cousin saw the truck. Someone else said he'd gone to live with relatives. Online, the debates still buzzed. But in the hallways, things quieted. The track team stopped wearing their ribbons. People stopped fighting. Life, as it always does, shifted to new gossip. Prom dates, senior pranks, future plans. Collins became a cautionary tale, not the center of the world. Graduation came on a warm Saturday in June. Blue gowns, packed bleachers, names called one by one. When Monica crossed the stage, the applause was uneven. Some claps, some silence, a few whispers. She turned to the crowd, and our eyes met. Just a nod, no smile, no words, but it said everything. I see you. I know what this cost. I survived. I nodded back. On the way home, at a red light, I scrolled through my photos and saw it. The screenshot of Monica's note. The shaky handwriting. The words that started everything. I stared for a second, then deleted it. The original lived in a case file now where it belonged. The light turned green. I set the phone down, and for the first time in 6 months, I took a full breath. Monica was going to college. Collins was gone. The system had changed, even if just a little. Not everything was fixed. Her family was still fractured. My SAT scores were still lower than I'd hoped. But we'd made it through, and that mattered.
Thanks for watching. Today's train wreck is over, but tomorrow's ride is already on track. Subscribe so you don't miss it.